What happens when the one thing that finally beats Shane Van Gisbergen is not his rival's skill but somebody else's mistake? For 3 years, drivers across the NASCAR Cup Series have studied his footwork, copied his setup, and still come up short. Joey Logano tried it. Austin Cindric flew to Adelaide for it. Nobody has matched it. Then in a single corner at San Diego, none of that mattered. If you are a NASCAR fan, make sure you subscribe, drop a comment, and hit like before we get into this one. To understand why this technique has become such an obsession in the NASCAR garage, you need to understand the car everyone is driving. Since 2022, every Cup Series driver has been behind the wheel of the next-gen car, and that car runs a 5-speed sequential gearbox. A sequential transmission does not require a clutch to change gears. The driver simply shifts up or down, and the gearbox handles the rest. Because of this, the clutch pedal in a modern NASCAR has almost no job once the race begins. It exists for pulling away from pit road and for the initial start under the green flag. After that moment, it sits untouched. This is the reality for nearly every driver in the field, including Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, William Byron, and Christopher Bell. Their left foot operates the brake. Their right foot stays on the throttle. The clutch becomes, in effect, a foot rest for the remainder of the race. Then Shane Van Gisbergen arrived. His Cup Series debut came at the Chicago Street Course in 2023 in heavy rain, and he won the race. When broadcast cameras placed inside the footwell of his car revealed his pedal work, it became clear that he was doing something nobody else in the garage had done in over a decade. He was not left foot braking like every other driver. Instead, his right foot was rolling off the throttle and blipping the gas using the side of his shoe, while his left foot worked the clutch pedal independently. At the same time, the brake pedal was being applied. This combination is known as heel and toe downshifting, a technique that predates the modern NASCAR gearbox and had fallen out of use as shift patterns changed. The origin of this technique traces directly back to Shane Van Gisbergen's background in Supercars racing in Australia, where he won 3 Bathurst 1000 races and 3 championships. Supercars vehicles run a locked rear differential. Under heavy braking, a locked differential causes the rear tires to want to skip and hop because they are physically connected to one another, which can break the car loose entering a corner. To manage this, Supercars drivers run a significant amount of rear brake bias, far more than what a typical NASCAR setup would tolerate. The solution to keeping that locked rear axle from breaking traction under heavy braking is to feather the clutch, briefly disconnecting the engine from the rear wheels at the apex of the corner. As the driver turns in, the clutch is released and the renewed engagement helps pull the nose of the car into the corner. Shane Van Gisbergen has been asked directly about this technique and has consistently downplayed its importance. Speaking with Dale Earnhardt Jr. on the Dale Jr. Download podcast, he explained that in the next-gen Cup car, the rear differential is open rather than locked, meaning the same mechanical need for the clutch trick does not technically exist. He said, "I don't think it is a big advantage. Of course I'm going to say that, but it's all I've known." He added, "I used to do it because you had to in a V8 supercar, but in this next-gen Cup car, you don't need to because the diff is open. So you don't really have rear locking because you can run so much more front brake bias." Despite this explanation, the SMT telemetry data available to every team in the garage shows that, Shane Van Gisbergen continues to use the clutch in this manner. Dale Earnhardt Jr. broke down exactly what this accomplishes on his podcast, explaining that as a driver enters a braking zone and downshifts, the drivetrain drags on the rear tires through engine braking, which can cause the rear end to hop and bounce. He explained that Van Gisbergen modulates the clutch slightly the moment he feels that load building, which dampens the strain on the drivetrain and keeps the rear tires settled. Dale Earnhardt Jr. also noted that Van Gisbergen uses the same clutch input to help rotate the car deeper into the corner while still on the brakes. He said, "This ain't SHT NASCAR guys do. We don't use the clutch to control wheel hop or any of that." The effect of this technique, according to those who have studied it closely, is tire preservation. Connor Zilisch, the rookie driver at Trackhouse Racing who has emerged as Shane Van Gisbergen's closest challenger on road courses, described the difference directly. He said, "You never see him slipping tires." There's times where, like out of turn 6 into turn 7, everybody else is getting to wide open throttle and he's not even getting to wide open. Connor Zilisch explained that this restraint allows Van Gisbergen to maintain pace late in a run when everyone else's tires have already worn down, adding, "Whenever people say he's toying with people, it might not even be on purpose, but he just is able to save his stuff and maintain the lead, and then when he wants to go, he can go." What makes this technique so difficult to replicate is not a lack of effort from the rest of the Cup Series field. Multiple drivers have attempted it and failed. According to broadcast coverage, Joey Logano of Team Penske began a recent Watkins Glen race weekend attempting to right foot brake, but he abandoned the approach during practice. His teammate Austin Cindric has gone further, reportedly running a Supercars wildcard event in Adelaide specifically to practice the technique, yet has still not mastered it at race pace. Shane Van Gisbergen's own Trackhouse Racing teammate Ross Chastain addressed the difficulty directly after a race at Watkins Glen, saying, "My feet are on the wrong pedals when I do it his way. I've learned my way, and at 33, it's tough. I can do it intentionally for like a corner or 3, and then I get to the next corner, the next lap, and I go back to my way. It's just muscle memory." Denny Hamlin has offered some of the most direct commentary on why the technique has not spread through the garage. Denny Hamlin revealed that he was originally taught to road race using right foot braking and used that exact method to win the Mexico City race 20 years ago. Despite that history, he has spent the past 2 decades as a left foot braker and says reverting is not realistic for him at this stage of his career. Speaking on his Actions Detrimental podcast, Denny Hamlin said, "It's going to be really hard. I just don't see anyone coming up the ranks that are volunteering to learn that style and stick with it." He also stated that relative to the rest of the field, Shane Van Gisbergen may have the largest road course advantage in NASCAR history, saying, "Has there been someone with this big of an advantage on road courses? Maybe, I don't think so. You certainly would think SVG relative to the field has got a bigger gap than anybody in history." Kyle Larson, widely regarded as one of the most talented drivers currently competing in the series, has been equally blunt about his own chances of learning the technique. Speaking to reporters at Sonoma Raceway, Kyle Larson said, "You can't teach an old dog new tricks. Like there's zero chance I can learn how to do that." He continued, and even if I did, there's zero chance that I can have it be better than what I'm probably doing with left foot braking. So yeah, he's just so good." Kyle Larson has also noted that ovals remain the one area where Shane Van Gisbergen has yet to fully arrive, stating that if he ever closes that gap, he would become significantly more difficult to beat across the entire schedule. The statistical record supports the scale of what Shane Van Gisbergen has accomplished. His winning percentage on road and street courses currently stands at 33.3%, the highest in Cup Series history, more than double the rate posted by Kyle Larson or Marcos Ambrose, a driver long regarded as one of the sport's premier road course specialists. Shane Van Gisbergen has won 6 of the last 7 road and street course races on the schedule and currently sits equal third on the all-time NASCAR road course win list, an achievement reached in a fraction of the starts required by the drivers above him. His average finishing position on road and street courses during the 2025 season was 3.34, with the next closest competitor, Christopher Bell, sitting at 10.09. Beyond the road courses, there have been early signs that this same skill set may begin transferring to short ovals. Shane Van Gisbergen recorded his first career oval top 10 finish at Kansas in 2025 before backing it up the following weekend with a road course win. Analysts have pointed to tracks like Martinsville, Richmond, and Phoenix as venues where tire management and corner rotation matter most, suggesting the same mechanical advantage that defines his road course dominance could eventually apply there as well. This possibility has also led to quiet conversations within the sport about whether the clutch's use as an active performance tool rather than simply a launch device falls outside what the next-gen car's rulebook was designed to allow. Whether NASCAR moves to regulate clutch usage after the launch phase remains an open question, with no formal action confirmed. And then San Diego happened. NASCAR's Cup Series held its first event at the new street circuit at Naval Base Coronado, and Shane Van Gisbergen entered the weekend as the clear favorite, having claimed the pole position. He led the field to green and spent much of the early laps reinforcing exactly why he has become the dominant force on non-oval tracks. On lap 32, following a restart, the race changed entirely. Austin Hill missed the apex while battling for position entering turn 1, forcing Connor Zilisch wide and into the outside wall. Shane Van Gisbergen, running directly behind the incident, was collected along with several other cars. Austin Hill addressed the cause of the wreck afterwards, saying simply, "Sorry guys, locked up the rear brakes." The damage from the incident was severe. Both Trackhouse Racing entries, the car driven by Shane Van Gisbergen and the car driven by Connor Zilisch, were destroyed beyond repair. Austin Hill's car also sustained heavy damage. Several additional cars were drawn into the wreck, including those driven by Daniel Suarez, Ryan Blaney, Michael McDowell, Riley Herbst, John Hunter Nemechek, and Ty Gibbs. The race was immediately red flagged, while NASCAR officials made repairs to the outside wall near turn 1. Approximately 10 minutes passed before the event resumed under caution. Shane Van Gisbergen was visibly frustrated following the wreck. He declined to comment directly on Austin Hill's role in the incident, telling reporters at the Infield Care Center to ask the next guys. Describing the conditions on track before the crash, he said the race had felt unreal fast once the track kind of rubbered up. A real shame. He asked how disappointing it was to leave San Diego without a trophy, and with only a single point to his name, Shane Van Gisbergen replied, "I'm filthy." Looking ahead to the following week's race, he noted, "Luckily we got a good one next week, but unfortunately we'll be in Group 1 qualifying again, which makes it tougher. Just gotta go and execute." For Connor Zilisch, the wreck carried its own significance. It marked his 6th DNF of the 2026 season, but it also came during the first race in his Cup Series career in which he had led laps. Connor Zilisch said, "I felt like I was giving Austin space, and the next thing I know, I was in the wall." He added, "Really unfortunate. Hate to end both days for both Shane and I, the Red Bull Chevrolets. We had a really fast car today, got out front, felt really good, but that's how it goes sometimes." When asked whether the incident was simply a routine racing situation, Connor Zilisch was direct in his response, stating, "It was a little more egregious than that." What makes this result especially difficult for the Trackhouse Racing camp to process is the nature of how it happened. This was not a case of Shane Van Gisbergen's technique failing to deliver an advantage on the racetrack. The advantage was never given a chance to matter because the race was decided by a mistake that occurred entirely outside of his control. With the 2026 playoff structure no longer guaranteeing automatic qualification through a single win, every finishing position carries added weight. Shane Van Gisbergen had been sitting on the provisional edge of the playoff picture entering the weekend, and a result of this magnitude makes the path back significantly harder heading into next week's race, where he will once again face a tougher qualifying group as a direct result of how San Diego ended.